The Wall Street Journal dropped another bomb yesterday, claiming that Attorney General Pam Bondi told you-know-who back in May that his name appears multiple times in the Epstein files. The report comes days after you-know-who denied being told that his name appeared. And more Republicans want answers. I mean, they really want answers. Take a look.
What did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, you know, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama.
The president's staff, administration, his own children, his vice president have promised that these files would come out, and now we're being told it's a hoax. It doesn't wash.
So the reemergence of a 2010 video deposition of Jeffrey Epstein is raising even more questions. Take a look.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
So if you-know-who is in the files, I mean, nobody knows what these files are. So let's start with that. And what the context is, we don't know. But his base does not seem to be going away with this. They want answers.
They do. And before we go on hiatus, we only have one more show after this. I'm allowed to say that, right?
Too late now.
So it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Before we go, I wanted to tell people that the tide is turning. The tide is turning, and things are changing. I mean, the ultimate irony would be that Rupert Murdoch will take him down.
Yeah.
Fox News, who created the monster, will take him down. Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she doesn't accept Trump's handling of the Epstein case. I don't accept it, and I don't think anyone else should accept it. Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk have all taken aim over Epstein. Joe Rogan, they can lie about all kinds of things. Where's the Epstein files? This goes on and on and on. The QAnon shaman is turning on him. He's now calling him a fraud and a piece of whatever. Now, that is interesting to me and worth watching the news now, because I want to see how this all plays out. Because prior to this, they've been, very much an acquiescence to the guy. Yeah. But now that is changing, and I feel positive about it and optimistic. Do you?
I want to take a moment to appreciate Thomas Massie, who's a Republican from Kentucky.
Another one.
I don't agree with him on much, but he's always, he was in Congress when I worked in Congress. He's always been independent-minded and willing to buck whatever administration is in power when it's something his constituents care about. And I respect that. He challenged Trump on the big, beautiful bill. He did on this and is going to keep fighting to get answers. I have two big things that stand out to me. How did Trump botch the PR of this so much? We know he likes to resort to deny, but we now know that in May 5th, he knew he was in the Epstein files. If he had come right out and said, my name appears in them, it is widely known we were friends and associates for years, there's no indication or allegation of wrongdoing. If there's something else we can release in the future, we will. I don't know that this would have been a month-long story until we got something else in the public. But this drip, this blaming Comey and Obama after he already was briefed he's in it, making up a new conspiracy theory saying he's not in it when he had been briefed.
Well, doesn't that speak of a certain desperation on his part?
Perhaps
that he feels that there's something in there that's very, very bad.
One question I have, and I just can't wrap my head around it, is Joe Biden was in office for 4 years. If his Justice Department had, and we have no indication he did, but information that Donald Trump engaged in some of the most horrific crimes, what Jeffrey Epstein was accused of, why did that never become public? I would think there is such a vital public interest. The man was running for president. Could there be, and this is speculating, could there be other names involved that are high-profile Democrats? I don't know.
Or maybe, we were trying to deal with the insurrection and trying to deal with all this stuff. And maybe it was planned, had he come back, that there was more to be done. But, trying to get anybody, you remember how they would send subpoenas? Yeah. They would
No one would listen, and no one would follow it.
Came to the subpoenas. They wouldn't come and talk. So I understand why that didn't get taken care of, but I think it's just because there was so much.
To the public.
Yeah, but
just
when
information.
you speak of the deny, I think the reason he botched this is it always worked for him. Whether it was January 6th, within weeks, people saying, "Oh, it was a tourist," or the election denialism. Over time, he actually convinced more and more people by just repeating everything that maybe it was rigged. That's what he was convincing people of. I think that the problem here is as things drip out, like this Wall Street Journal that he was told and he's denying, is going to be just the drip that drowns him, because little by little, no one's going to ease up. And the problem is, when you mention that Rupert Murdoch might take him down, I think it's rich that possibly the extreme conspiracy around the Epstein, dating back to QAnon and all those things, might be the thing that takes him down. Because when you dabble in conspiracy, you sow distrust and chaos in a way that no one can control. And he can't control this.
No,
that's what I find so fascinating, that the insurrection didn't take him down.
No.
You know, he often said, I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, no one would care. He was sort of the Teflon Don for so long. And for this one thing to stick like this, I think has shocked him. I think it has spooked him. And the thing that I don't understand is being mentioned in the Epstein records is not a sign of wrongdoing. We all know that they were friends at least 10 years, and then apparently it's been reported that there was a falling out, and they were no longer friends. So of course they spent time together. That's what he says. But of course they've spent time together. There are pictures. It's well documented that they had a friendship, that they partied together. So this denial of even almost having this kind of relationship with him, or even being in the files, doesn't make sense. And I think that is the most significant red flag for me. Why deny something that isn't in and of itself wrongdoing?
Because he believes if you say you didn't, my people will believe me, and they will run roughshod. And what he's discovering is that, everybody has a breaking point.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the breaking point you thought it was, or that I thought it was, but everybody has one, and this people are not letting go of.
Why do you think that
they feel
is?
betrayed. They feel betrayed. I think that's what it is. They feel betrayed. You said you were going to go after the deep state. You said you were going to go after the so-called global pedophile ring, and then you say, I'm not releasing the information. And the other half of the MAGA crowd are good people, I think, who are concerned that children are involved in this scandal. So that's what's going on. In my opinion, that seems to be what's going on.
But I do think, keep in mind the moment we're in. Donald Trump is not running, constitutionally is not running for re-election again. When we say take him down, I don't think there's indication that this is going to end his presidency. What it is going to do is it's going to hurt Republicans in the midterms. We are a year and 4 months from every House member having to run for re-election, and many of them campaigned on because they bought into the notion, and when people around Trump said we're going to release this, they have to answer to their constituents. And the decision by Speaker Johnson to send everyone home and wrap start August recess early means they're going to hear from their constituents.
Yeah, and
that was a mistake, I think.
The folks around him are not helping him.
No.
Because when you shut down something and say, okay, we're going home, we're not going to deal with this, after you've heard people say, we want answers, you're basically saying, we don't care what you want. And people don't want to hear that from whatever side you go with. Nobody wants to be told, I don't care what you want, I'm making these decisions. And I think this is going to hurt them in the long run, because they have an opportunity to say, listen, we want to clear this up. We want this to be cleared up because we don't want it lingering like a bad fart. But
the tide is turning. The tide is turning.
Right? I mean, there's nothing worse than getting in an elevator